Ceasefire talks over Gaza are set to resume within days, with negotiators from Israel, Hamas, Egypt, and Qatar returning to the table. Mediators say a temporary truce and hostage exchange are top priorities, but major obstacles remain. Watch the full video for the latest on who's involved, what's on the table, and whether peace is finally within reach.
Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Hello.
We're the show where we take the sources, the research, maybe even just scribbled notes, yours or ours, and really distill them down. Get to those crucial, impactful nuggets of knowledge for you.
Mm-hmm.
Today, though, we're doing something a little different. It's not just a deep dive. It feels more like an intellectual challenge. Maybe.
Maybe a micro dive, but with maximum depth.
Exactly. We're trying to extract maximum precise insight from an incredibly succinct piece of information. Astonishingly succinct, actually.
Right.
So our mission for you, our listener, is to meticulously examine every single component of this very brief excerpt. We want to dissect its full meaning, its immediate implications, and what it truly tells us.
And crucially, what it doesn't tell us.
Yes, absolutely. While sticking strictly, almost, religiously, to only what that source explicitly provides.
It's an exercise in discipline, really.
It is a masterclass in reading between the lines by understanding the lines themselves perfectly.
And what's fascinating here is precisely that challenge. It highlights this paradox, the immense power, but also the very distinct limitations of highly condensed information.
Right. Especially today.
Exactly. In an age where we're just flooded with data, it's often fragmented, sometimes contradictory, sometimes deliberately vague, the ability to read, interpret, and importantly, critically assess even the briefest updates. That becomes a vital skill.
It's not just about knowing stuff. It's about understanding the quality of what you know.
Precisely. It's about understanding the nature of the facts you're absorbing. So our focus today will be on precision, on clarity, and maybe most importantly, on developing that analytical rigor.
Sticking just to the facts presented.
Unyieldingly. And just as crucially, consciously acknowledging and accounting for what is not explicitly stated.
That negative space around the information.
That's the core of this deep dive, I think. Discerning what's truly presented and understanding the implications of what we cannot infer from this single, very compact source.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And today's source material, as we've hinted, it's not just concise. It's almost like a minimalist piece of news reporting.
Yeah. A haiku of diplomacy, maybe?
Kind of. It's a single, powerful sentence taken from an excerpt titled simply, Gaza Ceasefire Talks Resume. And that sentence, the entirety of the information we have for this deep dive, reads,
Just 7 words.
Gaza Ceasefire Talks resume soon.
That's it.
Gaza ceasefire talks resume soon. 7 words. And, as you hear that, you might be thinking, 7 words? Really? How much can we possibly draw from that? Isn't that just like a headline?
It's a fair question. On the surface, it seems almost trivial.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Because this brief statement, despite being so short, it's not empty at all.
Not at all. It's packed.
It's densely packed with implicit information. And it provides this remarkable, almost perfect canvas for understanding the fundamental process of how we, as, discerning consumers of information, should process news.
A case study in miniature.
Exactly. So for you, our listener, let's embark on this intellectual journey. We'll break it down word by word, explore the subtle power of each one.
And then critically, examine the implications of what these words don't say.
You might be surprised by just how much knowledge we can actually extract. You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. Let's begin our deconstruction with the very first word, Gaza.
Right. Word 1.
Now, this isn't just a place name. It's not merely a geographic identifier. It's a potent anchor.
A conceptual shortcut, almost.
Yeah, exactly. For anyone even vaguely familiar with current events, the immediate mention of Gaza instantly situates this news, puts it right within a very specific, widely recognized, and often contentious geopolitical region.
No doubt about that. It immediately tells us where the focus of these upcoming talks lies.
And for you, the listener, the word Gaza likely invokes a whole complex tapestry, right? Geopolitical history, ongoing conflict, humanitarian concerns.
All triggered by that single word, without the source needing to spell any of that out.
That's the power of it. It's information compression. The source just states Gaza, and that one word places the entire conversation in a very particular, well-understood global arena.
It activates your pre-existing knowledge framework, assuming you have one, of course.
Sure. But it identifies the immediate geographic area of concern for this ceasefire. It directly implies There's an ongoing situation within that territory that requires these high-level diplomatic discussions.
Right. It doesn't tell us who is in Gaza or what the specific details of the situation are on the ground.
No details like that.
But it unequivocally tells us where the talks are focused. This establishes that immediate context.
Yeah. This one word, for you as a discerning listener, holds immense informational density. It's like a powerful, instant geopolitical bookmark.
Okay, so that's Gaza. What's next?
Moving on. So let's turn our analytical lens to the phrase ceasefire talks.
Okay, 2 words together. Ceasefire talks.
This combination, taken together, is incredibly precise, very descriptive. It articulates the very essence, the objective of this diplomatic engagement.
The source explicitly says ceasefire talks. Not peace talks, not negotiations, but ceasefire talks.
Exactly. And that meticulously defines the primary objective: a cessation of hostilities, a period of truce, or, a deliberate, agreed-upon pause in armed conflict.
And the word ceasefire itself, it carries a heavy implication, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It tells us implicitly but clearly that there are hostilities currently occurring. Or, at the very least, there were hostilities recently enough to make these talks necessary and urgent.
It's a term born from conflict. It signals an active state of tension that needs addressing.
Critically, like you said, the source doesn't use broader terms, not peace talks. That might suggest something more comprehensive, maybe even permanent, addressing root causes.
Right. Ceasefire feels more immediate, more focused on stopping the fighting itself, perhaps temporarily, perhaps not, but the focus is the cessation.
This linguistic precision really guides our understanding. It sets the scope, the immediate ambition of these discussions.
And then you have the word talks in that phrase.
The talks.
That profoundly informs us that this is a process, a diplomatic one.
A negotiation.
Yeah.
An exchange of views, proposals. Not a unilateral declaration, not an imposed outcome.
It emphasizes agency, mutual engagement, ideally. It implies multiple parties are involved.
Or at least should be involved.
Or at least that dialogue is seen as the pathway. Requires agreement, compromise. It's not an order, not an ultimatum.
It's a concerted effort between parties, whoever they are, to reach an agreement through talking, through negotiation.
So that phrase alone, ceasefire talks, paints a pretty clear, albeit basic, picture.
Yeah. Conflict is present. And a deliberate, negotiated diplomatic effort is underway specifically to halt that conflict. It's specific, it's loaded, sets clear expectations for the nature of these developments.
Okay, makes sense. What's the next word?
Next up, we dissect the word resume.
Ah, okay. Resume. Seems simple, but...
It's crucial, absolutely crucial for understanding the temporal and historical implications embedded in this little news nugget.
Right, because resume tells you, our listener, immediately that these talks aren't brand new.
Exactly, not a fresh start from scratch. It means they have occurred before.
They were started at some point then, paused, stalled, maybe broke down completely.
We don't know why from the source, but they stopped. And now, critically, they are restarting.
So the single word, resume, tells us there's a history here, a demonstrable history to these negotiations.
A prior attempt, maybe even a series of attempts, then a break, a period of inactivity, and now a new beginning for these discussions.
It inherently suggests...
What?
Persistence.
Could be persistence, or maybe just necessity, a recommitment to a path that was at least temporarily abandoned.
But it doesn't tell us why they paused.
No reason given.
Or for how long that pause lasted.
Nope. But it unequivocally confirms a prior state of negotiation existed, ceased, and is now being reactivated.
So it implies this ongoing, probably difficult diplomatic dance, cycles of engagement, maybe disengagement.
Yeah. It signals a continuity of effort, even if it's an interrupted continuity, suggests a sustained, if challenging, pursuit of this specific outcome, the ceasefire.
Okay. So resume packs quite a punch in terms of implied history.
It really does.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the final word, soon.
Soon. The timing word.
This single adverb, it acts as a powerful indicator of time frame, signals an imminent or near future occurrence.
Right. It immediately communicates to you, the listener, that these talks aren't some vague plan for months down the line.
Not a distant aspirational goal.
No. They're expected to start in the very near future, which adds this palpable sense of immediacy, urgency even.
Definitely urgency. Soon conveys proximity, but notice it doesn't commit to an exact date.
Which is common in diplomatic language, right? Deliberate ambiguity sometimes.
Often, yeah. It doesn't give us a calendar date, doesn't give us a time, but it clearly communicates the start is not far off, the wheels are turning, the next phase is on the immediate horizon.
So this word amplifies the relevance. If you're monitoring the situation, this tells you developments are imminent. Pay attention.
Suggests the factors driving these talks are pressing enough that action is needed without significant delay.
It creates an expectation of near-term events, prompting attention, without locking anyone into a specific deadline the source didn't provide.
Okay, so we've broken down all 7 words. Gaza ceasefire talks resume soon. Each one carries specific weight, specific implications.
Right. But now we get to what's arguably even more revealing.
What's not there?
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, or rather, if we step back and appreciate the profound implications of what this incredibly condensed source does not provide, that's where the real art of interpretation comes in.
The discipline we talked about earlier.
Precisely. This brief sentence, significant as it is for the fact it confirms, is equally, maybe more significant for what it conspicuously omits.
And this invites that critical thinking for you, our listener, recognizing the gaps.
And crucially, resisting that natural human urge to fill those gaps. Don't fill them with assumptions or stuff you read elsewhere. Stick to the source.
Understanding the negative space around the fact.
Yes. For instance, let's think about the participants.
Who is actually doing the talking?
The sentence states, Gaza ceasefire talks resume soon, but it pointedly does not name who is involved.
No specific parties, no factions, governments, international bodies, mediators.
Nothing. Zero information in this source about the identities of the negotiators, or even who might be hosting these talks.
And that absence is critical, isn't it? Because who is at the table, that shapes everything.
Absolutely. It influences the dynamics, the power balances, the interests represented, the potential outcomes.
Without that info, our understanding is limited. We just know some talks are happening between unidentified parties.
And this omission, it might be strategic. Confidentiality, maybe. Avoid prejudicing the talks, or maybe the source just didn't have that detail.
We can't know from the sentence.
But for us, as critical readers, it means we cannot infer anything about the who, a fundamental piece of any negotiation.
Okay, so no participants named. What else is missing?
Location. There's a complete lack of location specified.
Where are these talks happening?
Exactly. The source gives zero information about where they'll physically take place. A specific city, a neutral country, some diplomatic venue, remotely via video call.
We have no idea from this sentence.
And the venue often matters, right?
Yeah.
Symbolism, neutrality, logistics.
Sure. But our source is totally silent. We can't assume they're in Gaza or Cairo or Geneva.
We simply know talks are resuming. The where remains entirely undefined by this source.
Again, forces them to acknowledge the boundary of what we know from this text, prevents geographic assumptions.
Right. We can't gauge comfort levels, can't infer strategic implications of the location choice, nothing.
Okay. No participants, no location, what else?
Crucially, the source gives absolutely no context for the resume part.
We know they stopped and started again, but not why.
Exactly. It doesn't tell us the reasons for the previous pause, or what specific developments led to the decision to resume.
Were they deadlocked? Did someone walk out? Did conditions change on the ground? New mediators step in?
Breakthrough and back-channel talks? Who knows? The source leaves us completely in the dark about the why behind the pause and the what behind the restart.
So no historical context from this source.
Which means we can't really assess the new talks prospects based on past performance or any immediate catalyst mentioned here. We only know the action of resuming.
Just the fact that it's happening again, devoid of that narrative from the source itself.
Furthermore, while soon indicates immediacy.
It doesn't give a date.
No precise timeline at all, no specific dates, not even a definite window like next week.
Soon is relative, ambiguous.
Could mean hours, days, maybe even a couple of weeks in diplomat speak. That lack of specificity means we can't mark our calendars based only on this source.
Communicates urgency, proximity, but no actionable timing for us as observers.
And that ambiguity might be deliberate. Managing expectations without firm commitments requires us, the listener, to accept that flexibility.
Right. Don't demand precision the source doesn't offer. Okay, what else is missing? This list is getting long.
Yeah. The source also gives no details whatsoever about the agenda or the specific terms of the ceasefire being discussed.
What are they actually talking about? A full stop to fighting, temporary truce, humanitarian pause.
Prisoner exchanges, aid access, return of displaced people. Is any of that part of the ceasefire discussion? We don't know.
The phrase ceasefire talks sets the general goal, but zero insight into the specifics.
No points of negotiation, no proposed duration, no parameters of a potential agreement are mentioned in the source.
So we can't gauge complexity, anticipate sticking points, or infer the scope of what they're aiming for.
Just the topic. Ceasefire. The how and what of that ceasefire. Entirely absent here. Lives the specifics to be revealed, maybe, by other sources later.
Manages expectations again? Maybe. Prevents defining terms prematurely?
Could be. And perhaps most importantly for critical analysis.
There's more.
Oh yeah. There's a complete lack of success metrics. Or any indicator suggesting the likelihood of success.
Is there optimism? Pessimism? How long might they last? What even counts as success here?
The source gives no indication. Is this just a preliminary meeting or a decisive round? Sense of breakthrough or just procedure?
We have no way to assess the probability of a positive outcome or the challenges ahead beyond the obvious difficulty.
Which means any hopes, fears, or specific expectations you might have about these talks, they are entirely external to this source material.
If we're sticking to the source, we can't assume success or failure.
Exactly. Prevents falling into confirmation bias or wishful thinking. The source strictly reports an action resuming talks, not a predicted outcome.
Wow. Okay. That exhaustive list of what's not provided, it's actually quite stunning when you lay it all out.
It's not meant to diminish the value of the 7 words we do have. Quite the contrary.
Right. It emphasizes the discipline needed.
The sophisticated analytical discipline required when consuming any information, especially when it's this condensed. It forces us, and you the listener, to draw conclusions only from the stated facts.
Acknowledge the boundaries of our knowledge based only on this data.
And resist filling those voids with external narratives, speculation, personal biases. That rigor is crucial for you, the learner.
To get a thorough, unburdened understanding, without being overwhelmed or misled by outside noise.
It's about understanding the precise edges of the information you actually possess from this source, distinguishing it clearly from everything else.
Okay, so let's pull this together. What does this all mean for you, our listener? Given this incredibly focused, almost microscopic dive into just 7 words.
Well, the core fact remains solid.
The absolute, unassailable, confirmed fact from our source is Gaza ceasefire talks resume soon. That is what we know.
That's the verifiable truth conveyed by these words, as reported here.
And despite all that missing context, despite the huge analytical negative space you just outlined, there's still real value in knowing even this single verified development.
Absolutely. It's a foundational data point.
Think about it this way. In situations that are complex, fluid, often filled with conflicting reports, sometimes deliberately obscured, clarity is rare. It's precious. This short sentence, Gaza ceasefire talks resume soon, it provides a confirmed action.
Yes, that's key. An action.
It tells us that despite previous pauses, maybe breakdowns, diplomacy is being rekindled. It confirms movement, an active process, even if we don't know the direction, speed, or destination from this source.
It's a solid piece of info in a landscape often full of rumors and speculation.
It's not a rumor. It's a declared event within the scope of our source. Knowing talks are resuming can itself be hugely significant for people affected, for policymakers, for anyone tracking diplomatic efforts.
Tells us dialogue hasn't been abandoned.
Exactly. However difficult, however fraught with past failures, it's not given up on. It underscores a persistent belief, maybe, in the diplomatic path.
Even if it's a rocky one.
So this 7-word statement, it's not just news. It's almost a testament to that ongoing, often painstaking human effort towards de-escalation. A reminder that the door to negotiation can eventually reopen.
Indeed. And focusing on that action, describe the act of resuming talks. That's the central, undeniable point of this source.
Regardless of the who, where, why, how.
The sheer fact that talks are recommencing signifies a continued effort. The diplomatic channel, which we inferred was open, then closed or stagnant, is now reopening.
That continuity, highlighted by resume, is significant.
It suggests persistent engagement, even when things are tough. It means the parties involved, or some set of parties, haven't given up on negotiation as the way to get a ceasefire.
That resilience, implied by resuming, speaks volumes.
And then the inclusion of soon, that adds that crucial layer, immediate relevance.
Right, it's not just happening, it's happening.
Yeah.
Well, soon.
Not a vague future possibility. It's near horizon, demands attention. This immediacy can impact expectations. actions of various stakeholders.
Humanitarian groups, regional actors, markets, maybe?
Even if the date is unknown, it signals an imminent moment of potential diplomatic activity, possible shifts.
Soon acts like a quiet notification. Something's about to happen. Creates that tension of anticipation.
Without the explicit details, economy of language doing heavy lifting.
So the overarching lesson then, for you, our listener,
It's this. Understanding the precise boundaries of what you know from a source is just as important, maybe more important, than the facts themselves.
this exercise really demonstrates that.
Yeah. Dissecting just 7 words shows that principle powerfully. It helps you build a robust framework for consuming information, consciously recognizing what is stated.
And with equal rigor, what is not.
This discipline stops you making assumptions beyond the data, equips you to critically evaluate other sources too, those with more context, or maybe even less.
Appreciate the confirmed fact, while acknowledging the sea of unconfirmed details around it.
Exactly. It solidifies your ability to be genuinely well-informed, to have deep understanding, not just collecting data points. Differentiating what you know from what you infer. That's the bedrock of information literacy.
And with that, we bring this rather intense deep dive to a close.
Not tense, but focused.
Definitely focused. We hope this exploration of just a handful of words has shown you that even the smallest source can yield really valuable, precise knowledge.
If you approach it with that keen, analytical mind,
And that disciplined approach, you now thoroughly understand the factual statement, Gaza ceasefire talks resume soon. The nuances within its few powerful words.
you've seen what it tells us.
And just as importantly, you have a rigorous understanding of what it doesn't tell us and why that absence matters so much.
Which does raise an important final question, doesn't it? Something for you to mull over, perhaps, long after this deep dive ends.
Okay, leave us with that provocative thought.
In this world we live in, saturated with news, often conflicting, overwhelmingly detailed, sometimes misleading what is the unique power, the enduring value of a single unadorned, confirmed fact like Gaza ceasefire talks resume soon. And how does knowing only this precise detail without any further context supplied by the source itself, how does that challenge you to think about the fundamental nature of information, its density, its gaps, its strategic omissions, and its true utility in informing your understanding of the world?
Something to think about indeed. Thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Global Mind News. If you found this report helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We bring you the facts, insights, and updates that matter, straight from the source. See you in the next report.